Hey guys, Miss Bianchi again. Happy Wednesday. I hope all of you are wearing pink. If you get it, you get it. I miss all of you guys so much. Again, I can't wait to see you guys. I hope you've had a good, last couple days since I last showed you how to do the math. So today we are on chapter 7, section 3. It is part 3 of multiplying polynomials. And I'm going to ignore the review here today. And we're going to really just focus on the bottom 4. I do want you to write down the learning target. It is I can multiply polynomials again. Okay, and then give it a little smiley face. All right, so multiplying a polynomial by a binomial or two polynomials is similar to multiplying two binomials, okay? So it is very similar to when we were foiling last week and when we just had two terms in each set of parentheses. It's just going to be a little more involved and like a couple extra steps. So don't be afraid. It is a little bit more work, but it's, the same process. So you should be just fine if you were fine the other day. Looking at letter A, I have x plus 2 times the quantity x squared minus 5x plus 4. Okay. Now I have my first term in my first set of parentheses, which is x. And that is going to distribute to every single term, just like when we foiled. Okay, so if you want to draw the arrows first, like I did, you can. I just prefer to do that so I know that I'm distributing everything right away. And then I like to break it down. So I have x times x squared. Remember, this is really x to the first power. So x to the first power times x squared is going to give me x to the third power. Now that x times negative 5x, remember that negative sign is very important. That is going to give me negative 5, and then x times x is x squared. So x times negative 5x is negative 5x squared. And then x times 4 is going to give me positive 4x's. Okay, I'm going to use a different color for my second set of distributions just so you guys can see my steps a little bit better. I should have left another little space there for the arrows. I'm going to do 2 times x squared. Positive 2 times x squared is going to give me 2x squared. And then 2 times negative 5x is going to give me negative 10x. And then that 2 times the 4 is going to give me 8. Okay, so again, just like when we foiled, each term is going to each term. And I just got a little mark there. Ignore that. That was x squared. My bad. Okay, each term is going to each term. So it's multiplying to each term, right? Okay, now I've but I've distributed everything, okay? So my next step is going to be to combine any like terms that I see. Now, very important that when we are simplifying, we start with our biggest exponent, okay? And my biggest exponent is to the third power here. Now, looking at this problem, I only see one variable that has to the third power, which is just x cubed, okay? It's my only one. Ignore that little mark, okay? Just x cubed. Now, I'm going to start with my next highest degree, which is the squared term or the second term, okay? I'm going to use a different color so you can see. I have negative 5x squared plus 2x squared. So whatever sign is in front of that term, you have to keep it. So negative 5x squared plus 2x squared is going to give me negative 3x squared. I have negative $5. I get 2, right? I'm still in the negative. So I took care of my squared term. Now I need to go to my next highest term, which is just going to be x to the first power, and combine any of those terms that I see. And I see that I have positive 4x's and then minus 10x's. So I have $4, but I spend 10. So I'm now $6 in the bank. So I have negative 6x. And then my last term that's all by itself is that positive 8, and then I can just bring that down. So that is my answer for letter A. I have x cubed minus 3x squared minus 6x plus 8. Again, ignore that little dot that I made on paper, okay? Letter B, I have 3x minus 4 times the quantity negative 2x cubed plus 5x minus 6. I am going to take my 3x, and that's going to distribute to every term in the second set of the parentheses. Again, I like doing that first. If you don't want to do it first, if you want to multiply each as you draw the arrow, you can do that too. But I have 3x times negative 2x cubed. I'm going to draw a line here just so I don't get confused with my other problem. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. And then x times x cubed is x to the 4th power because I add the exponents. 3 times 5 is 15. X times x is x squared. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18, and then I have my x. Okay, so that's for my very first set. I'm going to use a different color again. This negative 4 is going to go to everything in the second set. Okay, negative 4 times negative 2 is positive 8, but I do have an x cubed with it. So negative 4 times negative 2x cubed is 8x cubed. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, but there is an x with it. And then negative 4 times negative 6 is going to be positive 24. So I have distributed everything now. And my next step is to simplify. Again, I'm going to start with my highest term, not highest term, my biggest exponent, okay, which is the x to the 4th power. And I see that I only have one term with x to the 4th power. It's just negative 6x to the 4th. So that's going to go first. My next highest degree is going to be 3. So looking here, I see that I only have one term that's a 3. I do like underlining as I go, so I know that I took care of that term. So now I have plus 8x to the 3rd power, or 8x cubed. Okay. Now my next highest term is my 15x squared, my squared term. And I don't see anything I can combine it with, so it's going to be 15x squared. Now I do finally see something I can combine. It is that negative 18x minus the 20x. I have negative $18, but I spend another $20, so now I'm negative $38 in the bank with my x. Okay, then my very last term that's all by itself is that positive 24. And now I am done with this problem. It's simplified. It's going from high to low with my constant at the end, just my number at the end. Okay. Moving on to letter C. Letter C is going to take up a lot of the paper. So for D, I'm going to do it on the back side of the paper because I write too big. So just so you know, you might have write on the back or just write smaller for letter C, okay? I have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 times the quantity x squared minus 6x plus 5. Okay, I'm going to start with my 2x squared. And again, I have more terms now, so it's the same thing as FOILing, it's just more, right? It's just more times that I have to do it. So that 2x squared is going to go to x squared. It's going to go to negative 6x, and it's going to go to 5, okay? So 2x squared times x squared. Remember, I add the exponents. I get 2x to the 4th power. Now I have 2 times negative 6. 2 times negative 6 is negative 12. okay? X squared times x is x cubed. So I kind of like breaking it down when I multiply it, just so I make sure that I'm multiplying my coefficient and then my variable. If you can do it all at once, it's totally cool. Great, and now I'm going to do 2x squared times 5. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I'm left with my x squared. So I have 2x to the 4th minus 12x to the 3rd plus 10x squared. And that's for my first set of distributions I'm going to make. Okay, I'm going to use a different color for my second part, just so you guys can see better, okay? So I have 3x, and that's going to go to everything in the second set. 3x's times x squared is going to give me 3x cubed. 3 times negative 6 is negative 18, and then x times x is x squared. And then 3 times 5 is 15, and then I do have the x with it. So 3x times 5 is 15x. And that is it for my second set of distributions I'm going to make. Finally, and I'm going to use a different color again, I have to multiply this -2 by everything, okay? So -2 is going to go here, here, and here. -2 times x squared is -2x squared. -2 times -6x. I know that -2 times -6 is positive 12. Then there's just an x hanging out there too. And then finally, -2 times positive 5 is -10. Okay. So very, very long for my very first step, even though there's multiple steps in it, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you have all that written down. Now my next step is to combine all my like terms, and I want to make sure that I'm starting with the highest degree. Okay, so looking at all of these terms, I do see that my highest degree is my x to the 4th, right? 2x to the 4th. So I'm going to bring that down. That's going to be my very first term, okay? Make sure you write it a little bit better. That one I didn't write as good, right? The 4 was kind of hanging low. Make sure you write it high so you know it's the exponent. Now my fourth power was my highest power, so my next highest power is going to be anything raised to the 3rd power. So I'm just going to identify all of those first. I have -12x to the 3rd, positive 3x to the 3rd, and that is it, just those two. So I can go ahead and combine them. I know that -12 plus positive 3, if I have -$12 in the bank, but then I get 3, I still have -$9 in the bank. And then I'm dealing with x to the 3rd power here, so that's going to stay. Okay, now I can move on to my squared terms. So I have positive 10x squared, -18x squared, and then -2x squared. So I have 10 minus 18. So 10 minus 18 is -8. Then I have -8 minus another 2. So now I have -10. And I'm dealing with x squared here. So that's what's going to be with a -10. Now my very next step, that was x to the 2nd power. So now I'm going to deal with x to the 1st power, or just x. I have 15x squared. I'm sorry. I have 15x. I already did my x squared. I have 15x, and then I have plus 12x. 15 plus 12 is 27, and that's x. And finally, I just have my -10 left over, so I'm just going to bring that down. So my final answer is 2x to the 4th minus 9x cubed minus 10x squared plus 27x minus 10. Now, like I said, I knew I was going to run into that issue for D, so I'm going to go ahead and get a new piece of paper. If you need to catch up, go ahead and pause it. Otherwise, just go ahead and flip over to the back side. Okay, for letter D, it was x to the, not x to the fifth, it was x plus 5 to the third power, or cubed. Okay, this cubed tells me I need to expand this or write this down 3 times, right? Similarly, if I had like 2 to the third, remember that's 2 times 2 times 2, right? That tells me how many times I expand. Now, because I have 3 sets of parentheses, I'm going to completely ignore my third one for now. And I'm just going to write that down here. Okay, I'm just going to write that down there. And I'm only going to worry about multiplying my first 2 sets, okay? So I have x times x, and then x times 5, okay? X times x is, you know what, ignore that. I don't like that anymore. My bad. Okay, x times x is x squared, and then x times 5 is 5x. And now I'm going to do the same thing here, different colors. 5 times x is 5x, and then 5 times 5 is 25. Now I'm going to put this in parentheses because all of this is still going to multiply that. So now I can rewrite this. Okay, before I can move on further though, I do see that I can combine these like terms here. Okay, I want to make sure that I can simplify everything, that everything's good to go before I multiply again. Otherwise, I'm going to make a lot of more work for myself. If you didn't end up combining like terms here and you went ahead and multiplied it and you did everything right, you would still get the right answer, but it's going to take you longer, and we all like shortcuts, right? So just make sure you go ahead and combine those first. So I know that 5x's plus 5x's is going to be 10x's, and everything else is the same. So now I have x squared plus 10x plus 25 times the quantity x plus 5. And now I can do what I was doing before where I distribute everything, okay? So I have x squared, and I'm going to bring that to the x and the 5. X squared times x, remember this is really x to the first power. X squared times x to the first power is x to the third power. And I'm just going to leave some space so my arrows don't get in the way. And now I'm going to use a different, oh, no, I'm not done yet. And then x squared times 5 is 5x squared. Okay, now I'm going to use a different color. And I have my positive 10x, and that's going to go here and here. It's going to multiply both terms. So 10x plus x is, not plus x, 10x times x is 10x squared. It's been a long week, guys. It's been a long month. And then 10x times 5. 10 times 5 is 50, but there's an x with it. So make sure you don't forget about the x. And now I can move on to my very last step. I have 25 times x, which is 25x. And then I have 25 times 5, which is 125, okay? So again, like we did last problem, since I've simplified it up to here, I need to make sure that I'm combining any like terms and then rewriting with my largest exponent first. So I see that my biggest one out of all of these is my x to the third power. So I'm going to go ahead and write that down. And my next highest power is going to be the second power. So I have 5x to the second power plus 10x to the second power. 5 plus 10 is 15. So I have plus 15x to the second power. Now I'm going to be left with x to the first power, or just x. So I have positive 50x plus 25x. 50 plus 25 is 75. And that's x. And then that 125 all alone, they're just going to come down for the ride. So I'm left with x cubed plus 15x squared plus 75x plus 125. And that is it. Okay. If you have any questions, make sure that you're coming to our office hours, that you're emailing us. Again, I miss all of you guys so much, and I hope you guys are doing well. Feel free to send me an email on your favorite part of quarantine so far. Bye, guys.